This podcast is part of the Pull Up a Chair podcast network. Let's build community through connection, conversation, and collaboration.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
And I'm V.
And you're listening to Cringe With Me, the podcast where we dig up the cringiest articles, questions, and tidbits of human culture to review with you, our listeners, so you too can cringe with me.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible.
Oh my god, how is September, already over?
Okay, don't remind me of that one. I'm good.
Alright, guys, time for a month in review.
Mm-hmm.
I started last month with, oh my god, Karen, you can't just ask why it's not a salad.
Yeah, that one, again, it's just the writing was the cringiest thing about it. I can't get over it.
It's so much fun to read.
It might have been fun to read. It was not fun to have it read to you. I mean, hopefully our listeners had fun.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I think the next one was mine. The Who's Your Granddaddy and What Does He Do?
The kid, and that was the one where the grandkids snubbed their grandfather at a party.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, aren't you so and so's granddad?
The clever snark we all wish we had.
Yeah, I'm jelly. And then I followed you up with, what do you do with tampons when I'm not looking?
Okay, I still just want to know. I need to know what his problem was. Why? Why?
I don't know, but it was entrenched into him.
Yeah, it was deep.
Deeply.
And then I followed it up with the last one for the month, which was A Father We Can All Aspire to Be.
Yes, although I'm still with the title not sure which father you're referring to, but I'm sure that stepdaddy thinks it's him.
Oh yeah, I mean, one thinks it's him and one knows it's him.
Exactly.
Yes.
All the daddies.
Yeah.
Alright, who do you think won last month?
I don't know, honestly. I feel like they all have their merits. I'm not sure what people are going to think is the cringiest.
I don't know either. I really liked reading the Karen episode from MySpace, but it doesn't hold up in the way that a lot of other Karen stories do.
Mm-hmm.
I think the tampon episode was more uncomfortable than cringy.
I think the guy's behavior is pretty cringy. There's there's gaslighting, there's, trying to enforce his will on, women's bodies. There's a whole lot in there that I find pretty cringe.
Yeah. But if I'm, listening to my heart, I think it has to be the Granddaddy episode.
Really?
I do? Okay. Just the thought of this old man who looks like Santa Claus walking around at a party. He goes up to have a conversation with his grandkids who he ignores. And then he's probably thinking, oh, I ignore them, so they're probably going to be thirsty for my attention. And then gets shut down.
Okay. I think that one was very enjoyable. I don't know if it was cringy, though. I think it was more cathartic.
Maybe, but it's my favorite. It's my personal favorite. If we could vote, I would vote, and that's what I'd vote for. Okay.
See, I would vote for one of the last two. It's either the tampon guy, because I thought it was absolutely cringy, or the really cringy stepdad who thinks he's the model father. It's one of those two to me. It's
the Homelander dad.
Yeah. Homelander dad is definitely what I see when I think of.
Yeah. But with that, we're on to a new month.
Before we jump into this month's episode, and we're going to remind you basically every week until it happens, what our actual plans are for the end of the year.
Yes. So we are going to be skipping 1 week, the last week of November, that we will not be releasing an episode, and that's so that we can have November's votes before we go into December. So in December, we're going to be talking about the year in review. We're going to be going over all of the winners of the year, and we're going to decide which was the ultimate cringiest, I believe.
December is going to be our extravaganza. Be prepared. So
Yes.
that last week, we won't have an episode, but you will have to vote. So don't forget to vote.
Yes.
For November's episodes.
Yeah, because we'll need those votes as soon as possible so we can record them or get them into our recordings for December.
Yeah, so we say we're taking a week off, but know that we are back in the girl dungeon, still recording.
Yes. Although we're not in the girl dungeon.
No, we're not. I don't think we mentioned it. At some point, my recording studio had to be taken away for bunny related reasons.
Yeah, the girl dungeon is now the bunny dungeon.
It's now the bunny dungeon.
Or the bun dungeon. The
The bun-
bungeon.
And now I have you in my bedroom, which
Oh, yeah. Does that make it worse? Is this worse than the girl dungeon?
I don't know. I really don't know if this is worse. It just is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
How do we start this? I don't remember.
Okay, well, we just finished the recap for last month, and we are behind. Sorry about that, people. It
Yes.
happens. Ryan, it is your turn.
All right. Well, today I have an Ask Amy article.
Ooh.
Yeah, this one I think the behavior is cringe, and I feel like it could open up a whole discussion. So we're gonna.
Oh, okay. So
we're
I
gonna
guess
go
we
into
have
it.
a theme this month because two of mine, it's not so much the material is cringe, it's what you need to talk about when you're holding the material.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm liking this theme. Give it to me.
So this is like I said, Ask Amy. Dear Amy, after 6 years of marriage to our 33-year-old daughter Karen, our son-in-law decided that he was in love with the woman with whom he'd been having an affair during 3 years of their marriage. So,
Could you just
yeah,
give me
know.
that timeline
That
again.
sentence is written so poorly.
Sounds like I wrote it.
Well, okay. I think that's no.
We've already established.
You have spelling errors. You don't have sentence structure errors.
I'm flattered. Okay, give it to me again.
So sentence structure error. What they're saying is this couple,
Yes.
this married couple, has a daughter,
Okay.
33. She's been married for 6 years.
The daughter's been married for 6 years.
Yes.
Okay.
The daughter's husband recently
Yes.
asked for a divorce because he's in love with the woman he's been cheating on her with for 3 years.
So half of their marriage, he's been cheating,
Yes.
and now he's in love with the mistress or mister.
Yep.
What is a male mistress called? Mistress? Dutress?
I honestly don't know. The term that I hear thrown out, and I don't know if this is a correct term or an okay term to use. This might actually be offensive. I'm not sure.
Oh, hooray.
The term that one of my friends, several of my friends have used for when a guy is the other person and is like trying to pull away a girl is a Sancho.
A Sancho.
And I don't know where that comes from. And I'm like, that could be offensive or racist. I'm not sure. So I don't want to use that term. That's the only term I've heard.
Okay. Either way, we don't know the gender of the...
No, it's a woman.
Oh, okay. So mistress.
It's another woman. Yeah, it is a
Okay.
mistress.
Man, I was thinking this was going to be like...
Oh, yeah.
Closet?
It gets not that many twists.
Okay.
But there is one. So last summer, the daughter filed for divorce and moved back home. She was devastated. So we're, the mother and father.
Yeah.
We're taking care of her. We did our best to counsel her, get her back on her feet. Her name is Karen, which we're going to skip over that.
Let's call her Carrie.
Yeah. Carrie has had many days of insecurity, anger, grief, and sadness. All things to be expected
Yeah.
when your spouse cheats on you.
That's messed up.
This is not an easy process for anyone, married or not. Thankfully, they have no children, so
Oh, good.
there's no complicating factor there. The problem, for several months, Karen has been dating a married man.
Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah.
Karen/Carrie.
We are beside ourselves with disappointment, and her father is outraged. He feels that Karen is no better than her former husband.
She's just passing the pain on to somebody else.
Right. He has condemned Karen's actions, telling her that she is morally wrong,
She is.
and that the man she is with is lying, cheating, lowlife.
Yeah, she found the same man. She refound her husband.
Right.
Except
right.
now she's on the other side.
Mm-hmm. Now, this man and his wife have announced that they are expecting a baby.
Oh,
Further
oh,
outraging
God.
my husband, I am acquainted with the wife's family, so somehow this is someone connected to their family.
Oh, it's a family friend.
Yeah. We won't ever be able to look at them without feeling guilty. Karen claims that they have something special. He obviously is still in his marriage, and yet Karen defends him. Why would our smart and talented daughter settle for sloppy seconds and have an affair with a married man whose wife is pregnant?
Especially because she knows what that pain is like.
Right. Why would she hurt another person the very same way she was hurt? And now a baby's involved. We are so ashamed. How do we cope?
See, I know it's unethical, but if this were my child, I'd out her. And it would be for her own good. And I know that's not what you should do. But that's what I would do.
I don't know that there is a should when it comes to things like this, right? Like there is, some people are like, hey, it's their business, you let them do their thing. And some people are like, no, you have an ethical responsibility to expose people who are lying, cheating, whatever.
Because if I were anybody in this situation, I would want to know. And that's why I couldn't help myself. So if I ever have a kid and they're listening to this podcast and they're deciding to cheat, your mom is not your confidant. I'm sorry. Go get a therapist. I will out you. Right.
Yeah. So I think this is one of those things that we can dig into a little bit, because I think that the philosophy, I don't know if this is specific to Western culture or America or what, but there is a very interesting philosophy around lying and whether or not to expose it. So I feel like we can dig into that.
Okay.
But let's get to Amy's response. Dear Ashamed, you've already judged your daughter. Your husband...
Oh, she's going in for it.
Yeah. Your husband has expressed his disgust loudly and repeatedly. Now, the way for you to cope is to buck up and realize that you did not raise a saint.
Good job.
If her own drama is only a year old and she has been seeing this other man for several months, she seems to have leaped headlong from one mess into another.
Yes, with excitement and gusto.
Your daughter has been hurt and she is now consciously hurting someone else. If your daughter lives with you, it would be best for her to move out. If she is not in your household, you won't be quite so tempted to monitor and react to her behavior. You don't know why she is doing this. I don't know why she is doing this. I think it's possible that she also doesn't quite know why she has made this choice. She should be meeting with a counselor, discussing dubious choices with a neutral therapist. It is much more productive than trying to defend indefensible behavior to your furious parents. I suggest that you convey to her, you know how we feel about this decision, which we believe are setting you back. We hope that you will choose to behave ethically, but we also understand that this is your life and the consequences will be yours to bear.
Yeah. Always good advice from dear Miss Amy. Their daughter does need therapy, though, because literally getting your back stabbed and turning around to stab somebody else's back is...
Right. So, yeah. Obviously, this is pretty cringy behavior. You know, you're devastated that someone cheated on you, and then you immediately go and cause someone else to cheat.
I can do that same thing to someone else. Hooray.
I have a feeling that this is a pursuit of self-value, right?
Yeah.
You get cheated on. The thing that I think gets hit the hardest is your own self-worth, right? You don't feel valuable because someone prioritized or chose someone over you. They lied to you about it. It's incredibly diminishing.
Yeah.
Now, being the person that is chosen over someone else, I could see how that would give you a feeling of having more value again, right? You'd feel positively compared to someone else after being negatively compared to someone else. The reality of that situation is that's not what cheating is.
But I've never thought of it that way, because it always confused me why somebody would want to knowingly be the other person. It's
because someone is taking a logistical and life risk to be with you makes you feel valuable compared to their partner.
I always feel like I learned something new when I talk to you.
I mean, there's a lot of different reasons people do it. Some people actually just get excited by the drama, right? Some people like the drama of it. Some people like the risqueness of it. For some people, it's in the same realm as that some kinks are, right? Where it's like, oh, the excitement of doing this thing that is quote unquote wrong makes me feel excited, makes me feel aroused. For some people, that's what they're experiencing.
Okay.
So it can be a lot of reasons. I think in this case, it's a value thing.
You think so?
That would be my guess. I am, definitely pulling out the armchair therapist thing right now. So I don't know. I'm not a therapist. But I would guess that it's a value thing because of how closely it's following this instance of losing self-worth.
Oh, this poor, okay, if you were a parent in this scenario, what do you think you would do?
So this brings us to, I can't answer that question initially. I have to bring up this topic before I can answer this question.
Okay.
Because I find this very difficult to address. Which is the idea that when you catch someone lying, do you expose them or not? is something that is deeply ingrained in our culture, but is incredibly misleading. Because there is like an ethical code that I think people genuinely understand for the most part, but is inherently contradictory and kind of wild when you think about it too much, right? Like the idea that like when you catch someone lying, your first question in our culture is, how well do I know the person being lied to? Because if you find out your friend is lying to their boss, if you find out your friend is lying to their family, are you going to expose them if you're not close to those people, if you don't know their boss, if you don't really know their family very well? No, you're not. You're not going to expose them. You're not going to reveal their lie. You're going to let them get away with lying because your loyalty is to them, not to the party being lied to. But if your loyalty is to the party being lied to, you'll expose them instantly. Let's say you find out someone you are acquainted with is lying to your friend or your partner or your family. You will out them instantly. You will expose their lie without a second, no second thoughts. I will expose them, right? And if you're equally attached to both parties, or roughly equally attached, so let's say one of your close friends is lying to another of your close friends, do you expose them? That's when people get conflict.
I'm just now figuring out why people don't like me as you explain it, because it makes, not that it makes sense, because that's very dubious, because I always think about it is, would this lie genuinely hurt anybody? And if it does, I do not care who it is, I will out you.
Interesting. So I think that puts you in the vast minority in our culture.
And, it's like, I'm thinking about instances where I've called somebody out and they're like, how could you do that to me? And it's like, well, I would want you to do that to me.
Sure. But that's not how most people behave. I mean, like, look at popular media, the way lying is portrayed in popular media. It's always about loyalty. It's always about, where do your loyalties lie? The only time people go against their loyalties is when they have an ulterior motive.
You're right. And then they're like absolutely villainized.
Right.
And it's like blackmail,
yeah,
and espionage.
So the idea like, oh, we're friends, I know you're lying, I'm not going to tell the other party because we are friends. However, if I want something from that other party, I will out you to get you out of the picture. This is commonly seen with like relationships, where there's like a relationship triangle where someone wants their partner and they find out someone's lying to their partner, so they expose their friend so that they can have that person themselves. It's incredibly common. So like the thing that the point I'm trying to distill down to is that in Western culture, American culture specifically, at least, maybe Western culture overall, maybe human culture, I don't know, lying isn't the problem. We don't actually care about the ethics of lying. We care about the ethics of loyalty.
Okay.
And so, in this situation, these parents are acquainted with the family that is doing the cheating.
But it's their daughter, so they should be most loyal to their daughter.
Which is why they have not exposed her. They have not exposed her because their loyalty is more to their daughter than to this other family, despite the fact that if you were to ask them if ethically they should reveal this lie, they would probably say yes. Because if you just distill it down to ethics, and we are not going to talk about this, most people say, yeah, you should expose lies.
Yeah.
But that's not how we behave in real life, because our concepts of loyalty are more important to us than our concepts of ethics regarding lying.
So where do you stand in this?
So where do I stand in this? This is a complicated question, because I do think that there is a sense of loyalty that is, I am affected by this too, right?
Yeah.
I would like to be a perfectly ethical human being where I would say my ethics trump everything. That is not the case. That is not reality.
Nobody's that way.
So I think that I would have trouble with this one. I would not be sure what to do. Because on the one hand, I would be like, well, this is like, I'm not the one making these decisions, right? Someone's deciding to cheat. I happen to be aware that this is happening. But am I the person who should be exposing this? Am I the person who is my ethical responsibility?
I've heard people say that to me specifically when I out people, when I guess I shouldn't be outing people, is it wasn't your secret to tell. And I'm like, I'm good with secrets as long as nobody gets hurt.
Right, but what you're talking about is something that's actively harming someone else.
Yeah.
And this kind of brings us back. I feel like we talked about this on a previous episode, which is is it hurting them if they don't know?
Yes.
And this is the thing where I think we disagree on slightly.
We definitely
because
do disagree here.
I have a feeling where I'm like, if someone doesn't know something, it's not hurting them. It will hurt them when they find out. And if they're inevitably going to find out, then it's a good idea to expose it. Get it done early rather than build up more of this pain. However, I don't know that that's going to happen because maybe this person will have a child and stop cheating. I don't know.
What if he gets both baby mamas pregnant?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There's a whole bunch of messes.
Yeah, like there's all the what ifs.
I think that in this case, it is correct to expose it. I think that is probably the right thing to do. Will it cause a mess? Yes. Will you cause harm by doing so? Absolutely. But when you say you're causing harm by doing so, are you actually the one causing the harm, or are you just transporting the harm to its final destination?
Yeah, that's what I think it is. It's you're showing people the reality that is hurting them.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the one creating the reality. The daughter in this case is the one who's helping create the reality, because the dude, honestly, like, let's be...
Oh, she is an equal participant.
She's an equal participant.
They're equally participating in this pain.
And I'm sure that if it wasn't her, it'd be somebody else.
Right. My thought is, if this person is cheating, I think it's incredibly more likely that eventually it will come out, right? This information will likely be exposed at some point. It's probably better if it's exposed earlier rather than later. This harm is eventually going to reach its final destination. Does me speeding it up, is that a bad thing? Is it not my secret child, whatever? I probably would do it. But I'm saying that not being in the situation.
So you want to say that you would, but you know that there's a possibility that if you were experiencing this, you might not.
I think the other thing is that my daughter isn't the one being hurt, right? Like, she's being cheating.
I see.
She's not the one who's going to be injured by this at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I mean, like, she's going to lose contact with these people, but I don't think she cares anyway. The people who are going to be actually injured is the relationship. It's the marriage over here. That's where the actual damage is going to be done. So to me, I'm like, my daughter doesn't really enter into this. I know that there's this theory of like having loyalty, but like, you preserving your daughter's secret doesn't help your daughter.
No,
it doesn't make things better for her. It makes things better for the other couple. And so a part of me is like, it would be a judgment call on the character of the husband. If I thought he was the kind of person that would get his shit together and stop cheating and never do it again, I might not tell the secret. Instead, I might confront him and be like, hey, look, I know this thing. You're going to stop doing this or I'm going to expose you. That's where these are the options you have.
Big Daddy Ryan over here intimidating people. I love it.
Well, because like, if I cannot cause undue harm to the married woman, great.
So your concern is not only protecting your child.
I don't care about her, the child.
Yeah. You're just, I see. You know, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So to me, I'm like, what scenario does the least harm? And the scenario that does the least harm is no one finds out about the cheating and the cheating never happens again. That's the scenario that causes the least harm to everyone involved.
See, while that would cause the least hurt feelings, I keep putting myself in the situation of the pregnant woman. Mm-hmm. And if I were her, regardless of who I am, if I'm related to anybody in the situation, mm-hmm. my heart goes out to the victim here.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I would, in this scenario, regardless of who I was in this scenario, I'd want her to know, because if I were her, I would want to know.
Right. And I feel the same way, which is why it's such an ethical conundrum.
Yeah.
Right? Because on the one hand, I'm like, I should tell her because I would want to know. But a part of me also sometimes wonders if I'd want to know. Because there are things in my life where knowing a thing that has happened has not changed what I've done. It's just caused negative thoughts to plague me, right? It causes intrusive thoughts that are negative, that I'm like, if I never knew this, I wouldn't have these intrusive thoughts, but ultimately knowing this didn't change the course of my life or my decisions. All
right, next week's episode is like on the same exact vein of this. It's if they... Well, you'll see next week.
Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited to do it.
All right.
But do you get what I'm saying, though?
I do.
Like, so that's why I'm like, if this person, if I thought, so again, it comes down to the character of these people. Because if the wife, if I also believed that she would stay with him if she found out if he cheated, then I'd be like, her finding out makes her life worse, but doesn't change what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So I would go to the husband and be like, hey, stop this, or I'm going to reveal your secret. Hopefully correcting his behavior. they stay together and she doesn't have to carry that pain. However, if I thought she would leave him over it, then I would tell her, because it would affect her decision. I'm taking away her agency by her not having that information.
Yeah, so not only think about the loyalty, but the outcome.
So there's a lot of factors that determine whether or not I would reveal this information based on the characteristics of the people, which we don't have.
The way your mind thinks fascinates me and makes me wonder if I need to learn more nuance in life.
I don't know that what I'm doing is ethically correct.
No, but you're putting a lot of thought into it. You're not jerk reactioning.
Well, so are you familiar with like Briggs Myers? I don't know if we're going over time.
This episode is getting a little lengthy. So guys, we'll cut it here. And this vein of conversation is definitely going to come up next week.
All right, yeah. And maybe next week we'll talk about the Briggs Myers thing and how that affects my decision making.
Okay, sounds good. Bye, guys.
Goodbye. All right, well, I'm Ryan, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram under Build Right Roll, where I post about my professional Dungeon Master experiences. You can check out the links in the description if you're interested in hiring a professional DM or looking to level up your own DM skills.
And you can find me, V, at Cringe Queen at Instagram and Twitter, or check me out on YouTube as the Queen of Cringe, and be embarrassed with me.
All right, well, thanks for listening and cringing along with us.
And we'll catch you next time with more awesome cringe content.
I'm hypocritical, but at least I know we could be beautiful or maybe terrible. Only one way to know. Only one way to know.
Hello, I am Patrick.
And I'm Andrew. And I'm Christian.
And I'm Allie.
And we are Rad Theater, a podcast where a bunch of friends play role-playing games and share a single brain cell, and the GM doesn't always have it. Oh, and it's theater spelled the correct way, Theatre.